online and receive 1 free sparkling wine. Follow them on Instagram at Hijinks Sports Grill. Here's Miami Dolphins insider Joe Schad.
There he is, Joe Schad. How you feeling, baby? You feeling good?
What's up, Big O? Doing okay today?
Okay, I like that. Your thoughts on the whole Tua situation and how it's being handled and going forward?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Dolphins are going to be cautious with Tua. Not a surprise that Mike McDaniel has already announced that Tua won't play against the Jets. That'd be 10 days after the most recent injury. 17 days, we'll see. We'll see how Tua's feeling. It's certainly encouraging that Tyreek Hill says he's, in the facility, in the locker room, smiling, seems fine. Those are all positives. The fact that Mike McDaniel said that the MRIs, which were certainly evaluated by multiple doctors, came back clean. So those are positive things on the Tua front. But certainly in the meantime, I think Teddy Bridgewater can do a capable job holding things down.
Yeah, I think it'll be pulling teeth to win with Teddy because I think they'll change things up and play a lot of short passing game with him. I don't think you'll see as many deep shots like you did with Tua. I think those kind of things will change. Are you surprised because as many injuries as he suffered? We watched Ethan Carter, who's been out for like 3 weeks already, and probably going to be another week of him being out with a concussion. Everybody's different. This kid seems to actually heal quickly from all these damn injuries that he suffers. Even the concussion, for him to be cleared right away to fly back, and now the MRI is all cleared. It's crazy. I mean, even with the hip, he was back in 10 months playing on an NFL field and getting slammed by Michael Brockers. He, as many injuries as he's had, he does have a tendency of bouncing back pretty quickly from these injuries.
Yeah, and the Dolphins need to, make sure that they protect Tua from himself at times.
Disagree. Disagree. But go ahead.
I remember that at Alabama, there was a serious ankle injury, and they did some sort of stitching procedure, whatever it was, where they held it together with.
It was a Kevlar wire. Yes.
Yeah, they held it together with a bungee cord and some duct tape and rolled them out there. And, was that in Tua's best interest? I don't know, so let's just make sure that we keep Tua's best interest, top and forefront of everyone's mind. And the Dolphins will, and the NFL will make sure that anytime the NFL is in the spotlight on shows like Good Morning America, talking about player safety and concussions, there's obviously going to be, listen, hey, I'm sure the memos went out, Let's be careful.
Yeah, I just think this is a whole bunch of drama bullshit that's going on because nobody's really talking about really the real problem. And the real problem is Tua Tagovailoa. It's not the doctors. It's not the NFL. It's not the NFLPA. He took 5 seconds on that play in Cincinnati. He was balling. It had nothing to do with Sunday. He hung on to the goddamn ball too long, and he took a sack that he shouldn't. Just like when he blew out his hip, he hung on to the ball too long, and he allowed a fat guy to catch him to blow out it. 2 fat guys to catch him to blow out his hip. One of his ankle injuries that he blew out was also hanging on to the ball too long. He does this all the time. Most of his own problems come from him, not from anybody else, not from blaming the coaches, not blaming the NFL, not blaming anybody. Tua Tagovailoa, and I am his biggest supporter and his biggest fan, but I am the most brutally honest person out there. Tua Tagovailoa is his own worst enemy. You cannot take 5 seconds to release a football. You cannot play Ryan Tannehill football in the NFL, especially if you're built like Tua Tagovailoa. So he needs to learn to get rid of the football, Joe. Most of his big injuries have all come, and Saban even talked about this when he was at Alabama. He said Tua's problem is that he hangs on to the ball too long, waiting to make a play instead of getting rid of the football. And as I've told the other guys that have come on, the next time he has a press conference, I will be front and center, And I will start the press conference by asking him straight up about this, because everybody's pointing fingers at everybody else. Tua needs to point fingers at himself and look in the mirror. He's his own worst enemy. Get rid of the goddamn football, Tua, and you will live a lot longer and less injuries. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, certainly Tua will acknowledge that there are times where he needs to get rid of the football quicker. I think one of the things he's trying to do is prove that he can, extend the play and make more plays down the field. And obviously, that does take time. The protection has been a little bit better, but it is, I guess, unfortunate that you're suggesting that his frame plays a role in needing to
No, I never
take
said
less
that.
hits.
No, that's your negativity towards Tua phrasing that shit. I never said that.
You just
No,
said because of
Hold on. Joe Montana didn't take those.
you referenced his size.
Exactly, because Joe Montana doesn't take those hits. He didn't take one till almost the end of his career. Neither did Drew Brees, and neither did Frank Tarkenton. When you're built like this, you need to use your brain, Joe. Okay? And I'm not his frame. We know what his frame is. Everybody knows what your frame is. Warwick Dunn knew what his frame was, and so did Barry Sanders, and they were exceptional at not taking the big hit, playing a very difficult position to avoid the big hit. Well, the quarterbacks have to do the same thing. Breeze got rid of the ball. And by the way, the other thing that I will tell Tua, don't quote Dan Marino, pick a guy and let it fly. Because if you watch Dan Marino's entire career, when the play was going to die, he let it fly also. Nobody better in the history of the NFL at letting it fly when the play was going to die than Dan Marino. So if he's going to be educated about Dan Marino, let me educate him that Dan Marino lived for the next play, the next series, the next quarter, the next game. He has to learn that. It's not about his frame, because he's not built to take hits, just like Breeze isn't. This has nothing to do with his frame.
Hold on.
His decision making.
No. That's fine.
Decision making.
You literally just said, quote, he's not built to take hits.
Right.
So this is a factor here. So this is
it's not a factor. His brain is the factor here. No, it's not a concern.
Not a concern.
Breeze had a lot.
Quote. He's not built to take hits. Quote.
I just gave you three guys that are going.
My quotes. All right, and make a big deal
I just gave you 3 out of 4 guys that were built the same way and had Hall of Fame careers. And why? Because they didn't take the hits. You can't take the hits at this size. That's just the way it is. But how do you avoid them, Joe? With your brain. He's got to let go of the ball, dude. 2.5 seconds, 3 seconds. You were just talking about they're giving him more than enough time to pass the ball. The clock has got to go off in his head. The play's dead. Let it go. I'm not Mr. Athletic. I don't have Kyler Murray's wheels. I don't have Russell Wilson's wheels. Neither did Joe Montana. Neither did any of those other dudes that I've talked about. They got rid of the football, Joe. His problem is his decision making. That's what's getting him in trouble. That's my point.
All right. So Tua needs to work on his decision making.
Big time.
Okay. So there you go. So we agree. And by the way, exactly. your viewers and your listeners have heard you reference Tua needing to, quote, use his brain. Okay. Yes. And I guarantee you that they are thinking what I'm thinking, which is, okay, well, let's make sure that brain bruise is healed up. All right.
Right.
Before
that decision on Thursday. Okay. But let's get this straight. What happened on Thursday night, did it have anything to do with Sunday? Anything?
I don't know. Who knows? No, we'll never know. I mean,
no. We do know, Joe. It was a bad decision that got him sacked and slammed because he held the ball for 5 seconds. Time the play, 5 seconds. That's why we're only having this conversation. The only way we're having this conversation, if he throws the ball away at 2.5 seconds, Joe, do you know what happens? He finishes that game. They probably win. Nobody ever talks about what happened on Sunday. It's water under the bridge. But his dumb decision of hanging onto the football is what concussed him, is my point.
Yeah, but you just asked me if I thought that Thursday's injury was related to Sunday.
Yes.
And I'm telling you that no one knows that answer. We don't know. and we'll never know. The thing that the NFLPA is saying is let's use extreme caution. Now, Bill Belichick comes out, I think it was today, okay, and he's piling on a little bit, just like John Harbaugh. And I don't necessarily agree with this, with the piling on, but he says, oh, there are times where I've had a player cleared to return after a head evaluation, and I've held them out. So I do think it is a little bit unfair that these other coaches are starting to pile on and kind of trying to paint Mike McDaniel in a bad light. I don't agree.
Yeah, I know. And Bill Belichick has all the credibility in the world. Yeah. Well, yeah. Anybody that listens to Bill Belichick and actually believes all the words that come out of his mouth, my bro, I've got a bridge for you in the Keys. Seriously. I mean, Rex Ryan was doing the same thing. Quickly, they pulled out a Tyrod Taylor highlight of him flat out knocked out and then coming back and playing under Rex Ryan. They're all full of crap, dude. And Belichick, is there a bigger liar, cheater, deceiver in the history of the NFL? I doubt it very much. Bill Belichick, please, don't talk about anything. You have zero credibility. How about this, Bill Belichick? Try to win without Brady. Save a little bit of your reputation a little bit there, buddy. Try to accomplish something without Tom Brady because you're looking worse and worse every week. So Belichick, I would not take his word on anything, Joe. Just think. So some of these coaches that are piling on, again, NFLPA, this is all a soapbox. This is all bullshit. Okay? Bottom line is that kid throws the ball away like he's supposed to. Nobody ever talks about this. But now you get to point fingers and put this, that he's at risk and all that. When he was balling that night, he wasn't fuzzy. He wasn't groggy. He wasn't making terrible decisions. He got cocky with the interception, and that was a dumb decision on his part. That's it, but that's normal quarterback play. There were no indications on that night that anything affected him from Sunday. In fact, the second half of the Buffalo game wasn't affected by the first half of the Buffalo game when he did get hit. So to me, all of this stuff, we're making a big deal of it because unfortunately he gets concussed twice in a week. That's the reason why his bad decision put him in that position. So now we get to go up in arms and get freaked out. You know, it's the other thing I've talked about, Joe.
Wait, did you just say he got concussed twice in a week?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Wait,
I mean,
so
did it look like I
believe he
said it on Saturday. I said it on that Sunday that it looked like it was a concussion. Of course it looked like a concussion. They said it wasn't, but what am I going to do? That's their doctors.
So if he
They
had
said
a
it wasn't.
concussion, you're saying so I'm a little bit confused here. So you're saying he shouldn't have returned to the field?
Probably not. Yes. He probably not. But we're all different, dude. We're all different. He bounced back right away. He passed whatever test that they have. Okay? He clearly passed their tests, and then they put him back out on the field.
But you can't say that this is being overblown and it's not that big a deal if, in your opinion, the Dolphins starting quarterback has had 2 concussions in 5 days.
Yeah, no, but the only
reason,
that is
a big deal.
No, it's not as big a deal. The only reason he was concussed in the second time was his stupidity. Are we clear on that? Are we understanding?
Yeah, you've said that 100 times, but you're also saying that this isn't a big deal. If you believe that Tua Tagovailoa has had 2 concussions in 5 days, that's a huge deal. What are you talking about?
The problem is most of you are over dramatizing this shit like he got concussed.
So you don't think head injuries are serious?
No, I do think head injuries are serious, but these are their decisions, not yours. Okay? You don't decide for a miner to go down and work in those mines and breathe all that shit his entire life. You don't decide for a fireman to walk in to a burning building. You don't decide for a 20-year-old who wants to grab a rifle and go defend our country. You don't decide for the FP&L worker who might get toasted on a wire. There are risks being taken here, bro. And if J.J. Watt wants to restart his heart on Tuesday and play on Sunday, that's his prerogative. And so if you clear concussion protocol and you want to play, that's your prerogative. Now, in this world, we seem to want to control other people's lives. If you decide to get in front of the running of the bulls and you get a horn in your ass, that's your problem, not mine. So if Tua Tagovailoa wants to keep playing, These are the risks. But what I would tell him is, dude, get rid of the football because you're doing a lot of stupid things and
Yeah,
getting
I
yourself
disagree with
injured
you.
for
I
no
hear
reason.
I hear some victim blaming, and I hear you disagreeing with the premise of protecting players from themselves. So we have a disagreement on that point.
No, it's not that I disagree on protecting players from themselves. The league checked them out and checked them in. The problem is the league's now embarrassed that their protocols still suck and they let that get by. So now they use that doctor as an excuse when that doctor probably followed all of the protocols. And by the way, Joe, am I seeing any
Maybe we don't know.
malpractice lawsuits? When I see a malpractice lawsuit, Joe, from Tua, his lawyer, from the NFLPA, NFL, somebody, or the doctor suing them, then I'll believe there's something that went on here. But meanwhile, I'm not falling for this bullshit that the NFL is selling to you and all the fans out there that this was, oh no, let's correct this issue. This doctor was out of line. No, that's your issues, bro. Because T. Higgins was playing with 2 concussions and nobody was talking about that. Because it's T. Higgins, it's not Tua. 2 different players, 2 different lightning bolts.
Well, there's nothing wrong.
T. Higgins doesn't move the needle.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the idea that Tua Tagovailoa having a concussion puts the issue in the spotlight. There's nothing wrong with that.
What do you mean?
There's nothing wrong with the fact that Tua being a celebrity puts the issue in the national spotlight. There's nothing
No,
wrong
I
with that.
think it's also the video. We didn't see the ugly hit from T like we did from Tua. It's the whole Ray Rice thing. There's other guys that beat women, but we saw it physically with Ray Rice. So it becomes a bigger issue. And with Tua, obviously, he's already a lightning bolt as it is. Now you see this, and all the people that thought he couldn't play, now they can use the injuries now instead of the fact that they were wrong about he couldn't play. So that's the other thing I see from all of this. Now they all jump on the injury stuff, and they're leaving the train behind. Of I said he couldn't play. He was too short.
Well,
Didn't have an arm.
durability has always been a concern. So let's
Always.
hope
It's the only concern I've had.
All right. So let's hope that it turns out okay.
Well, let's hope it won't turn out okay, Joe. It will not turn out okay. If he does not learn how to get rid of the football, there is no chance this turns out okay. This must be the watershed moment of his career health-wise, because he will not enjoy professional success if he keeps playing this kind of football.
There is a fine line here, though. You don't want Jay Cutler. Remember Jay Cutler? Chris Perkins asked him if.
I get
no, but what I'm telling you is, anytime somebody came within 5 feet of Jay Cutler, he would throw the football at the nearest guy's feet. All right, so you don't want that either. There's an extreme here,
Well, see, the difference is, Joe, when you have a great quarterback, which Jay Cutler never was, you can then overcome throwing it away because you just described Dan Marino. You probably didn't watch Dan Marino's career like I did, but Dan Marino did exactly that, and it was beautiful. He'd live for the next play in the next series. You rarely ever got a hit on Dan. Either he made a quick decision of completing a pass or incompleting a pass. He didn't hang on to the ball ever. He just got rid of it. So you just described the greatest quarterback in the history of the
That's an
Miami
interesting
Dolphins.
point. Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily enjoy the Cutler Marino comparison, but I understand your point.
Yeah, I mean, Cutler's not. I've never even seen from Cutler what I saw from Tua in the first 3 weeks there. Some of those passes that he made.
Cutler probably played the Pro Bowl, right? I mean, this guy, Jay Cutler, was a skilled thrower of the football.
Yeah, exactly. He was a skilled thrower because he had a great arm, but he wasn't really a great quarterback. That's the difference, that sometimes we get caught up with the physical talent and then the quarterback position, and that's something that he could never manage. He just was not a guy that was consistent with his passes. That's his problem. He was erratic at times, and he would make bad decisions and have bad turnovers.
Career losing record.
Yeah.
Career 74 and 79, 6-8 with the Dolphins and Adam Gase.
Yeah. Look at Tua. He had no help his first couple of years, and all he could do was produce a winning record with a coach that hated him and an offense that barely had anything, and yet he won more than he lost. These are the things that, this is why
all we've done is praise him. We bring, how can you
All I've done is praise
How
him.
can you not?
All I've
how
done
can
is
you-
praise him.
How can you not bring up that he's first in the NFL in passer rating?
He's a badass, bro. He's a badass. It's just he needs help, and now he needs to help himself. Is what
By the way,
I
you brought up Teddy Bridgewater on the long ball. I believe he threw the ball further than any quarterback in the NFL last week. 60 plus air yards in the air,
Yeah.
loaded up, threw the cannonball to Tyreek Hill. So
Yeah,
you know what?
but this is why that conversation was so stupid, Joe. Because people make it sound like you throw 50 yards in every game. And that's just not true, dude. It only happens a couple times in the season, although Tua was making it happen even more than I even expected. But that's not something that's I don't remember Joe Montana airing the ball out 60 yards a bunch of times. I remember him hitting Jerry Rice and John Taylor and Brent Jones or the one before what was the other one before him, but they were short passes mostly. 5, 10, 15, 20 yards, and then the playmakers would then make plays after that. It's not like Drew Brees was airing it out 60 yards constantly and stuff. Oh, dude, come on, man. It gets ridiculous. Like, oh, you got to have this big arm because that's what happens in the game all the time. And that's just not really the case. I find that to be kind of silly. So another narrative.
Check me out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Schad Joe, SCHADJOE.
And catch him at the Palm Beach Post. Make sure you subscribe there at the Palm Beach Post. Help him out there and catch up. You guys have that. What's that insider stuff? What do you guys call it?
What are you talking about? How you can get an affordable digital subscription to the Palm Beach Post?
Yeah, but then you also, when you do subscribe, as a subscriber, you get some of that insight stuff that you guys put out.
I mean, the one thing I'll do, Big O, for your listeners is if you sign up for the Dolphins Pulse email, I'll send you an email every Friday morning, absolutely free. So look at the Palm Beach Post newsletters. Check that out as well.
There you go. Follow him on Twitter at Schad Joe. Schad, much love. We will catch you later, my friend.
All right,
Thank
man.
you.
Be well. Take care.
You got it. There you go. The great Joe Schad. Follow him on Twitter, Schad Joe. I guess Joe Schad wasn't available, so he got Schad Joe.